Hey everybody, Jason Andrew back, and great to be live with you. And you probably will notice that I've got a little bit of a background here behind me. I've got a little bit of feedback from the home front, and where it was said to me, look, do you think people are going to take, how serious do you think people are going to take you if you've got that background behind you? You know, got Yoda on the couch and the room, the games room I've converted into an office because we're in lockdown. And it got me thinking. You know, I mean, one thing was that hopefully something that's in the background doesn't distract you from the message. And if that's the case, I need to work on my message. But secondly, you know, what if that feedback is correct? What if I actually needed to take that on board and just change and step things up and try and always to work through ways that I can be creating value to my audience, because that's really what this is all about. So I do hope you like the background here. And today what I'd like to talk to you about is being on the same page. Are you on the same page with the person, with your partner, or whether in business or within at home? But specifically, I'm going to be reflecting on home, because I was propelled to discuss this given the conversation I had with my wife about around my background, and it sort of triggered through a couple of thoughts. Now, so I'm going to give you three things that I think are really important in terms of understanding values and how you can implement them within yourself from a financial point of view, because you know, being on the same page when you're talking about finances is really important. And if you're not, then it can have some pretty serious ripple effects, as many of you would probably know and through experience. Now, why is value so important? Some of you may know Dr. Demartini. He says that everything that you actually do in life is based on values. So even like when you're on the couch watching Netflix versus working on the business. At that stage, you're exercising a value set that says, right now, my value is to sit down and watch Netflix, and working on the business is secondary value set. So it's really important that you know what your values are and know how to embrace them. And so the first thing that you need to do in knowing that is actually get serious about trying to understand them. Get serious about your values and engage in a professional to know exactly what they are. Now, you know, I know that some of you may be thinking, look, values, yes, everybody knows that we've got them, but I don't really need to go to a professional. Thanks, mate. I know what they are. I mean, I was very similar. 12 years ago, one of my values was that I did not like to be, you know, pigeonholed into a daily schedule. I didn't like to feel like life had to be so structured. I wanted to have that freedom just to do what I wanted to do. And I had a business coach at the time, and then she said to me, look, Jason, I understand that. And through one of my value sets was success. And she said, what about that feeling of happiness you get just from the success, that feeling of success and happiness you get just from ticking the box of having been doing something? You know, so if something's in your schedule and you've a lot of the time to do it, what about that feeling of success you get when you tick that? And I thought, wow, you know, so I'd never really thought about that way. So ever since then, I've had a pretty structured schedule from a business point of view, and also through into family. We've got shared calendars, and I make sure that we're structured as much as we can be, because I like having that feeling of success. So there's a nice example of how, you know, just embracing something different, seeing a professional can help you get a different view and a perspective on what you're currently doing. The other thing we did within our financial planning business, when I was an advisor previously and an owner, was that we invested into a system called values-based financial planning. So we took this really, really seriously in our business, the business of values, and we invested over $200,000 in a process. I flew over almost a dozen times to the US, submerged myself in 6-day boot camps, took my family over a couple of times. It was a real big part of what we did. So we took that really, really seriously. And as a result of that, we had a system and process that ended up giving us winning awards. And we were traveling around the world as being successful advisors, and we ended up being attractive to a subsidiary of a listed company who ended up buying us out. Now, the second thing, once you've got serious with your values and also documented them down, because when you see some professional, they'll let you do that. And, you know, in terms of finding somebody, just pretty much every life coach on the planet will have a process of drawing it out. So I just start that process now. I'm creating a tool where you'll be able to do this yourself, but I just start the process now with a professional. Now, the second thing once you've documented is you need to share these values with somebody else. So go outside of the safety of speaking with a coach, and tell your spouse, tell your friends, share what your values are so that you can actually start living them and then you know that they're on your, that you can wear them on your sleeve and you can live by them. Now, in our business, when we implemented the values-based financial planning process, one of the reasons I went over there so many times was just so that I could create the skills. And I mean, I'm good at speaking with people, but just to create that sense of comfort and that psychological safety, which is a buzzword right now. But back then we were doing it. And we were doing it in a way where clients felt so safe that they were able to share with us in the first 15 minutes of meeting things that they wouldn't even tell their best friends, things that they wouldn't tell with their family members, and sometimes things that they weren't sharing with their spouse or partner at the time. And when we did these meetings jointly, because we always made sure that both couples came to the meeting, oftentimes it was not uncommon for one spouse to say, wow, I had no idea about you. So when you go through a process, share this with your partner. And when you're doing this, don't be surprised if what your values may be very different to some of them may be different. Now, this doesn't mean that you're right and they're wrong. It just means you've got some different values. And the other thing that you will also notice is that you've got some very common values. You've got some strong shared values. And these are probably the values that brought you together in the first place. And that's why you're together, right? So, and discussing these is really, really important. And my wife and I do this. My wife, she spends a lot of time on values and she trains her team on values. And I know that when we are not seeing eye to eye on something, it's because we're focusing on where the values are different. And it's when we focus on the things that we have in common and the value sets around that. And that's when we are starting to be on the same page. So you're going to want to do something similar because you're going to have the same values. And especially if you're talking finances, you need to be on the same values so that can create a solid foundation for any kind of financial conversations that you have. So those are the two first things. Now, the third thing is once you've found out, realize what they are or reshaped them and shared them, is just, this is an observation piece. Just start seeing how they shape your decision making. Now, if you believe your values and you know them so well, you will just start living them, and even subconsciously you'll be doing things that are forcing you to be living your values. I'll give you a quick example. So with the financial planning business that we had, and we sold that last year, in having that values-based financial planning process that was so involved, the ballpark started changing within the industry, and we had to, so much compliance, so much paperwork. And in order to deliver the service that we wanted to, we had to charge a premium. Now, the minimum price for the ongoing for our top clients was 24 grand. And then just to do a plan was just 4 grand with the minimum 2.5 ongoing. So that sort of cut out a lot of people. And one of my other values is to put in, is hard work. I've got a hard work ethic, and I learned as a young kid. So I was in this situation where we weren't able to deliver what the service that I wanted to at the level I wanted to, but at the same time I had to do the right thing because, I was an advisor, and compliance, it's very important. So on reflecting on this and afterwards, I realized that I put myself in the situation where I was going against one of my other core values, which was to be of service. And ever since I was a young kid in Samoa, running around on the rock pools, in the family property there, and I was always brought up to respect and to be of service to others and to just create value. And this was also reflected in my parents. My dad was a doctor. My mum was a midwife. Both my sisters are doctors. I've got 8 doctors in the family. My siblings, my brothers I've tried to create businesses to give value, and being of service is just what we do, and it's how I've been brought up. And then I found myself in a situation where on my professional front, where I was just turning away clients, even though I needed them, because they couldn't afford our service, even though I know they needed help. So I had this massive disconnect between what I knew one of my key values was and how I was able to deliver it. Now, through utilizing one of my core values of just doing the right thing and applying myself with a work ethic, we were able to sell that business to the subsidiary of a listed company. And I am now able to be in a situation where have created a business where we're offering solutions to clients. and to people that we're about to launch this, offering some free solutions around values and around helping you to create your own goals and your financial goals and keeping track on going. And I'm able to do that at a price that is so much less than $24,000 and even way less than $4,000. So I'm able to live my values through being able to be of service to more people than I could be in that traditional financial planning practice. And I'm grateful for having gone through that experience. But the key point about it is just knowing what my values were. So, if you truly know what your values are, you'll find the universe will find a way for you to be actually living them in some form. Now, it may take some time, but it'll be a values journey. So that's the real important key message that I really wanted to portray to you today, in that try and get on the same page, especially if you're going to be talking about finances. And the three things that you need to do is just first get serious, find out what they are, engage a professional, start the journey now on that, get somebody serious with it, engage a professional and document them. Second thing to do is to share your values with somebody that you care about. I share them with my wife, with my friends. I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeve these days in a very respectful way, because I am so confident in my values and I know that I'm coming from the right place. So share your values and then see how they may shape your decision making, because as Dr. Demartini says, everything you do is based on values. But as Roy Disney says, who is Walt's brother, that when you know your values, your decisions are easy. When your values are clear, your decisions are easy. So guys, that's it for me today. I hope that was of value, to pun the phrase, and I really look forward to seeing you at the next live. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the day.